Hey everyone, welcome to the program WRSA Radio. I am your host, Grenadier One. As always, I hope you're having a good week. I hope that you had a good 4th of July, although I spent time with the family and it was pleasant, but I wasn't happy. It's hard to be happy when you reflect on where the country came from and where we are now. Now, I was happy to spend time with my family, of course. I was happy to have a day off, but to imagine what the founders endured and suffered through to establish our independence and our nation, only to have us reach the state of our disunion that we are in today, that's not happy at all. That we've devolved into a society that we're at the point where we have a man who is 100% without a doubt suffering from dementia sitting in the seat of the highest office in the land. This is what our system has brought us. It's hard to be happy about that. It's hard to be comforted by that. Now, we're taught in school in our history lessons, and especially the media, about the fall of the Roman Empire. You know, what contributed to that fall? Well, there's really a lot of factors to it. But the one that gets trotted out so often is the degeneracy of the Roman elite and the Roman emperors. And we're told in the most lurid details how horrible those people were. Now, that's done, of course, by our elite. They are the ones telling us this message. And they do this for a variety of reasons, of course, most of which is to convince you that, the Romans were evil, racist white mans, and everything about them was horrible and should be forgotten. But I want you to lean into that message a minute here, just for the sake of argument. If the Roman elite indeed were so horrible for all of the things that they did, what does that make our elite? Because our elite are far worse than the Romans. We're way past the point in Roman history where the empire collapsed in our own timeline. We have a degenerate, dribbling, frail old man sitting on the throne, and we have no idea who is running the empire in his name. And all fingers point to that being a satanic pedo elite that are actually pulling the strings and running things. And last week, this frail, drooling old man came out and tried to debate Trump. As I mentioned in the show last week, I didn't watch the debate because I knew it was going to be bad, okay? I knew that it was going to be a crap show, for lack of a better term. I only watched the coverage that kind of came on after. I did see just a couple of minutes as I kind of got my channel set up and things on my flipper. I saw a couple of minutes of the actual debate, and it was as horrible as I imagined. But wow, it was way worse than I ever thought it was going to be. Biden just crashed and burned right there on live television. And for the last week, the establishment media has just been stunned. Oh, stunned. They've acted like they were just completely in the dark about how bad Biden was, and that this all came as a complete shock to them. Really? Really? No. There's no way in the world that you were that dumb. Well, maybe the tool bags over at MSNBC are that dumb, but no one else is that dumb. Okay? No one else in the establishment media was unaware of how Biden really is, how bad he has gotten. We all knew it. We all knew he was a man suffering from dementia and that he should be in a nursing home, or at least home hospice care. Maybe they really were shocked, but it was more by the fact that what surprised them was that they let him get on TV and be that bad. That's what really shocked them. So why did they do that? Why did that his handlers let him get on TV like that? Well, there are a couple of ways to look at this, and they all kind of have some merit, but I'm leaning mostly into this being the result of kind of internal behind the scenes or behind the throne struggles. I suspect that there is a Biden inner circle that is dominated by Jill Biden and Hunter and Jean-Pierre and a few others. And they are the ones who insist that Biden's fine and that he's more than capable and he's still in it to win it. And they maintain this charade because it keeps them in power. Of course, for Hunter, it keeps him out of jail, at least for now. It probably will end it with him being pardoned, but anyway. So it keeps them in power. They are the ones who are actually making decisions and pulling the levers and the strings. And that's why they're caught up in that charade and that pretend. And then there's this ring of staffers and cabinet members who they're loyal to the Biden administration, but they're kind of stuck in the middle. They want to stay in power because they have a lot of autonomy to make decisions, because I have to imagine that inner ring is not, they may try, but they're not able to function and fully control everything. So there's a lot of autonomy for those kind of middle management staffer types who are just told, go get this done. Go, I don't care, go get it done. So they like that autonomy. They want to stay in power. But there's this outer ring of people who are living with the conflicting messages and the orders and the obvious, emperor has no clothes, and they're putting pressure on them to do something. The outer ring knows that the game is up and that they have to replace Biden on the ticket if they want to continue to have their jobs, but they can't get to Biden directly. They have to work through this middle ring of people. So I suspect that what we saw was the middle ring giving into that outside pressure, and they maneuvered this Biden inner circle to the point where they had to agree to do this debate. And they supported them, and they told him, yeah, he'll be fine, 100%. It's all going to work out. He'll wipe the floor with Trump. But they knew full well what was going to happen. And now that the cat is truly out of the bag, they can remain loyal, and they can remain on message and all that, but the media will carry their water for them and try to put the pressure on Biden to step down. Now, so far, that's not working, though. The Biden inner circle is holding firm, and they've not succumbed to the pressure. But it's only been a week. But Biden swears he's staying in and he's seeing this through. Like I said, it's only been a week, though, so we'll see how this kind of plays out. But it's going to be interesting. Now, as I have said before on the show, I think this is what is going to happen. I think that so many others in the party and in connected positions see the writing on the wall, and they are just conceding that Biden is done. Biden's going to stay in it, and that Trump is going to win. I think they are making every effort to build up kind of their internal blocks and resistance to what they know that Trump is going to do when he gets into office. And they hope that they can just hold on for 4 years and kind of ride it out, and nothing will happen. I think they're more than willing to accept that their agenda might be placed on hold for 4 years and not be moved forward, as long as they can keep Trump and his people from pulling things more towards I'll use the term MAGA position just for lack of a better term there. But they're willing to not gain any foothold or gain any ground as long as they don't give up any ground. Is what I'm getting to. They may even still have some hopes that Trump is going to get convicted of something that sticks, and that they will somehow be able to remove him from office, even if he does get elected or when he gets elected. And Trump's probably, I say pretty darn likely, going to end up being the first president to pardon himself which is completely legal and constitutional, and that's backed up by the other big news this week, which is that the SCOTUS handed down a long-awaited decision on presidential immunity. The court ruled in favor of Trump and agreed that the president indeed enjoys a fairly broad-based immunity for official actions taken during their term in office. Now, I don't know where you stand on this, but for me, this is somewhat worrying. This is one of those laws or agreements, and whatever you want to call it here, rules, what have you, that I agree with in principle, but seeing it put in practice becomes an issue. On the one side of the debate, I believe that the president does indeed they have to have immunity in the same way that other government officials have immunity for their actions. But that's provided that their actions follow the law. And this is what is getting left out of the public coverage of this, of course. The court didn't say that the president can just do whatever he wants. They said that the official actions have to conform with established law. And they also said that a president's personal actions are not covered by immunity. So despite the hysterics in the media, the president is not immune if they were to order, for example, the military to arrest political opponents. First, the military can't do that. They're not legally capable or legally allowed to operate in a police fashion within the confines of the United States. So that would not be a legal action. And this is what worries me, though, is we live in a country where police and local petty tyrants routinely walk all over the civil rights of our citizens because they have enjoyed a very loose interpretation of sovereign immunity. The SCOTUS just affirmed that the president has that same sovereign immunity. Lower courts have almost exclusively ruled in favor of the government in these cases. It's very rare for a police officer, for example, or some other government functionary to be determined to have overstepped their authority and lose their immunity. Usually we're told that, well, we investigated ourselves and we determined that nothing illegal happened. We didn't do anything wrong, so everybody's immune. It's a tragedy that your loved one died, but our people are now really upset about it and have PTSD. And really, it was your loved one's fault anyway for not following demands. That's the general story that we get. What concerns me is that the people in power higher up the chain at the federal level, normally we see this at the local level, but at the federal level, these people are going to take this ruling and they're going to run it to the extreme, the same extreme. There are already people calling for Biden to drone strike Trump or for Biden to go after the Supreme Court justices, and they're using this ruling as their justification for it. Oh, you're totally immune and you can do whatever you want. So here's the combination, though, that gets really frightening. We have a potato in the White House, and he has people who work for him who have been told that the president has immunity for everything, and they're really making the decisions. Now, not really. That's not what they've been told. But they will use this as justification for not pushing back and refusing to say no. Oh, the president ordered us to do this, and the president has immunity, so we couldn't say no, even though Joe didn't really order that. Not that he wouldn't, he's just not capable. So even if Potato does stand trial, he's a potato, so he's not going to be held to account for even if the immunity didn't cover him. So in the waning days of his administration, we could see his people begin to lash out at everyone that they have not already lashed out with lawfare and all of the other things that they've been doing. And they could indeed send the FBI or the U.S. Marshals or the ATF or whoever to just go gun down these people. Hey, we were acting on orders from the president. We're immune. And it would take years for that to be litigated. And none of that's going to bring back the person. No one will ever stand to account for that action. Now, this could be coming far sooner than you think. Don't think that this would only happen after the election, say in that lame duck period. This could be initiated to swing the Congress in favor of the elite by taking out everyone who might win an election who is opposed to that elite agenda. And they won't even bother to hide it. They'll just use this immunity to cover themselves. Like I said, even if there were calls to impeach Biden and remove him, he wouldn't be held to account because he's mentally unfit to stand trial. This is some very, very dangerous territory that we find ourselves traveling in. You need to be very cautious, but you need to be very vocal about it. The more we talk about this, the more we spread the word. I'm not going to say the less likely that it will happen, but the more educated people will be to the possibility that it will happen. And the more that people might look at that and say, hey, wait a minute, you can't do that. So spread the word. Now that is all I have time for this week. Like and subscribe. Come see us over on Gab, Nice Crew, and the Mothership, dry docked over at the Cold Fury blog. And I will see you on the next episode.